An elderly widower mourns the loss of his wife by writing and sending postcards to her old address, each one a confession, a memory, a piece of his heart. But one day something unexpected happens. Someone writes back. This touching story takes a mysterious turn and reminds us that even in the darkest moments, human connection can light the way. Every Sunday for 5 long years, Tom Reynolds walked to the same quiet mailbox in his sleepy seaside town. In his hand, always the same thing, a postcard, lovingly written and carefully addressed to a house that no longer existed. It was his late wife's childhood home, now replaced by a modern apartment block. But Tom didn't care. He just needed to feel close to her. Each postcard was a letter to the past. Memories of shared holidays, their favorite songs, the scent of her perfume. He signed every message the same way. Forever yours, Tom. It was his way of coping, a ritual that no one questioned. Until one day something changed. A postcard came back. It was addressed to him, in handwriting he didn't recognize. The message was simple yet chillingly personal. She hears you. What followed was a series of mysterious replies, growing more intimate and timely, as if someone or something truly knew them both. Was it a stranger with a kind heart, a prank, or something unexplainable? This is the haunting, heartwarming true story of love, loss, connection, and the postcards that somehow crossed over. And what they brought back was more than Tom could ever imagine. Tom Reynolds wasn't always alone. There was a time when laughter echoed through his home, when Saturday mornings meant dancing in the kitchen and quiet evenings ended with her head on his shoulder. Her name was Margaret, warm-hearted, sharp-witted, with a voice that could calm any storm inside him. They had built a life like a house made of old records, coffee cups, postcards from faraway towns, and unconditional love. Then came the cancer, swift, unforgiving, and suddenly Tom's world shrank. After her passing, grief became his silent roommate. But rather than crumble, Tom did something unexpected. He picked up a pen. He bought postcards from the town's only gift shop, the ones with cheesy beach sunsets and sailboats. And every week, like clockwork, he wrote to Margaret. Not emails, not texts, postcards, tiny canvases of memory and longing. He wrote about the birds that nested outside their window, about how their neighbor's cat still slept on her old garden bench, about the way her favorite bakery still burned the croissants. Mundane, beautiful things. Life going on in her absence. It wasn't for closure. It wasn't for anyone else. It was for him. A fragile thread to the life they'd shared and lost. It was early autumn when everything changed. Tom shuffled to the mailbox with his usual postcard in hand, this one describing the changing leaves and how they used to drive up the coast just to see them. He dropped it in and turned to walk away, not expecting anything different. But that day, there was something waiting for him. Among the bills and circulars was a cream-colored envelope with his name written in looping, unfamiliar script. No return address. He paused. His hands trembled slightly as he opened it. Inside, a single sheet of paper, handwritten. No introduction. Just 7 words that punched the air from his lungs. She hears you. Keep writing to her. He stared at it for what felt like hours. It wasn't possible. No one knew what he was doing. Not really. He hadn't told his children, his neighbors, his priest. The ritual was private, sacred. Who would write something like this, and why? The handwriting was delicate, thoughtful, almost young. But the message felt ancient, like it had been waiting to find him. Tom's breath caught in his throat. For the first time in years, the ache in his chest was joined by something else. Wonder. Tom replied. Not knowing who was on the other end, he wrote a new postcard, This one not just for Margaret, but for the sender too. He kept the message gentle. I don't know who you are, but thank you. This means more than you can imagine. The following week, another envelope arrived. This time, the letter was longer. The writer introduced herself as Emily, a 17-year-old girl who had recently moved into the apartment building where Margaret's childhood home once stood. She had discovered one of Tom's postcards stuck in a hedge, damp from rain but still legible. Something about it had moved her. She began waiting for them. Emily had lost her own father the year before in a sudden accident. Her grief was raw, fresh. She'd been angry at the world until Tom's postcard showed her a different kind of mourning, soft, reverent, full of love. Their correspondence continued. Tom wrote as he always had. Emily responded, sometimes quoting Margaret's favorite poems, sometimes sharing pieces of her own grief. The strangest part? She knew things she shouldn't. Like the name of the dog Tom and Margaret had in 1974, or the lullaby Margaret used to hum in the bath. Tom never wrote those details, yet somehow she knew. As autumn gave way to winter, the postcards and letters continued. Tom found himself checking the mailbox not with sorrow but with anticipation. Each new envelope from Emily brought more than just words. It brought life. In a way he hadn't expected, she had become his bridge back to the world. They never exchanged phone numbers, never met in person. It was an unspoken agreement. This connection existed in ink and paper, in the quiet space between memory and mystery. Emily shared her struggles, her silence at the dinner table, her mother's distant eyes, the birthday that came and went like a shadow. Tom, in turn, opened up more than he had with anyone. He told her about Margaret's final days, about the hospital room with the 2 white walls, about the last thing she whispered, "Don't let me disappear." One letter from Emily read, "She hasn't. You kept her alive. You helped me keep my father alive too." Through this unlikely friendship, they began to heal. Together but apart. Generations separated by decades, joined by grief, stitched together by handwritten words. And Tom realized something beautiful. Maybe the point wasn't understanding who Emily was, or how she knew what she did. Maybe the point was that love, when shared, never truly ends. The last postcard Tom ever sent wasn't addressed to Margaret. It was addressed to Emily. It read, "Thank you for helping me remember how to live." He never received another reply. Days turned to weeks, and eventually Tom understood. Whatever force had brought Emily into his life had done its job. The mailbox remained empty, but his heart no longer was. He began volunteering at the local library, sharing his story quietly with those who needed it most, not as a ghost tale or a miracle, but as proof that connection, real, human connection, can transcend even the greatest loss. Years later, someone would find a shoebox tucked in the corner of Tom's closet, filled with postcards, each one worn, tear-stained, loved. And at the very bottom, a letter with no name, no date, no explanation. It said only, "You gave me hope. I gave you back your heart." Some stories don't need a perfect ending, just a true one. And if you ever find yourself writing to someone who's no longer here, don't be surprised if the universe finds a way to write back. If this story moved you, subscribe for more. Like, share, and remember, love is never lost. It just changes addresses.
Emotional, cinematic, young, soft, ambidextrous, and subtle streams build me to a hopeful guiding love. Emotional, cinematic, you're with soft, ambidextrous, and subtle streams build me to a hopeful guiding love. Emotional, cinematic with soft ambient ducks and subtle streams.